on YouTube? My name is Tim Ellerington. In my first video for this channel, we're going to go over what I believe to be the essential tools any beginner needs to start in bonsai. We're going to head to the garage now and let's have a look at the tools that I think is going to help you be successful in your ventures. Started off, guys, we're looking at getting yourself some sort of turntable. In this case, I've actually chinsed out a little bit, and what I've done is basically taken the rotating rack off the bottom of a TV. I used to have a huge old tube TV that sat on this thing, but basically all it is a lazy Susan between two pieces of board. I mean, the one thing to emphasize, guys, with anything is starting out, I mean, you want to do it as cheaply as you can. You don't want to spend a lot of money on, some fancy turntable that, you may or may not use. You really want to just start with what you need and work your way up. And for me, this has been perfect. It's got a nice large surface on it. It's not small, so I can put larger trees on it. Some of the junipers I have are a little bit larger, so it's nice to have something big like that, and it suits the purpose. And the whole point of having a turntable, guys, is so that you can analyze a tree in every dimension. And let me show you what I mean. So I just grabbed this large to give you an idea of what I mean. Basically, the idea of a turntable is so you can give it a look from 360 degrees without physically having to keep turning the tree, right? So, I mean, this is a bit of a poor example just because the tree is way too young to start training, but it gives you the idea that you could figure out where you want to start for the front of a tree and what your main branches are going to be. In this case, obviously, if we were, this would be a good main branch candidate, or possibly either of these two back here as well, right? So it just gives you the option to be able to look through a tree and to actually figure out where your front is and where you're going to take the tree. Now from there, we're going to move on to what I believe is the probably essential piece of equipment you're going to need when you start out as far as cutters. And that's the Concave Cutter. This is a cutter that's really unique to bonsai, and it's a very specialized tool. Basically what it is it's a cutter that when you cut off a branch, it's going to leave a small indentation where you cut that branch off. And what that does is when the tree heals over, it fills in the concave cut to where it's a flush cut and it's a flush at the end of it. So if you look on the inside here, let's see if I can get this to focus there, you can see that it's got a hollow indentation in the inside of the blade, and that's what leaves that concave cut there for you that we really want. Because what that does is, like I said, it forces the cut to flush over smoothly. It's not going to just, if you were to cut something flush with a pair of scissors, which is the next item, such as these ones over here, the problem that you have is when you then take the branch and cut it, it's going to leave a flat stub for you. And the issue that you have with that is when the tree heals over that stub, it's going to leave a bit of a bump, which can leave some inverse taper, can leave an unsightly scar. So by using the concave cutters, which I've just outlined down here, it eliminates that problem and allows the trunk to have a smooth finished line when the tree heals itself back over. Getting on to the next point is you're going to need to get yourself a really nice sharp pair of scissors. Now these ones, for instance, are what are called butterfly shears. They're something that I think everybody sees as iconic to bonsai. However, I wouldn't say that these are essential. I mean, before I had a nice set of shears like these, and even the set I got, to be honest with you, was just a fairly rudimentary set from Amazon of pretty nice bonsai tools, but it wasn't like a Masakuni shear or anything crazy. It was just something nice to get myself going and get started. I was using something like this, which is just a bypass pruner. Now this one needs to get sharpened up a little bit, and that's the emphasis with these. They need to be sharp. You can't have anything that's blended or that is less than razor sharp, and the reason being is that when you cut through a branch, you want it to be a clean cut. You don't want to bruise the branch and sort of break the branch off with your cutters. You want to have it clean so that when it cuts through, it heals better and doesn't damage the branch any further. So that's why it's important to get yourself a nice sharp pair of scissors, such as these ones in this case. The next tool that I would really recommend for anybody beginning would be to have some sort of small saw that is nice and portable, such as this one. This one I picked up from Home Depot. Not that I endorse the brand at all, but Fiskars make a really good product as far as bypass pruners, or even in this case a saw. This one's been perfect because it's foldable, so if you press that, you can just fold the blade right in, and it allows you to take this anywhere with you. So if you're going in the bush for collecting, or if you're working on a tree, let's say if you do go anywhere to help a friend or anything like that, these are perfect because you can bring them anywhere with you. The importance of having a small saw is because obviously when you're working on a tree, you don't have a lot of room, so the smaller the better. In a lot of cases, you are going to have areas where you're going to need to trunk chop your trees when you're developing them, or in a lot of cases when you need to remove big branches, you don't want to use something like your concave cutters, at the expense of breaking your tool. So a really good little saw is indispensable when you're starting out. Next, I would say that a good pair of wire cutters is essential. And the reason being, these, if you don't have it to start out with, I mean, it's not the end of the world. There are lots of other little wire cutters that you can use. But the reason why I would really recommend getting yourself a pair of bonsai cutters is because they have a blunted nose on them, which you can see right there. And the reason why that's important is when you go up against the branch with a pair of blunted ones like this, you won't mark the branch when you cut the wire off. Whereas if you use a traditional pair of wire cutters, they have tipped ends, and what can happen is as you're trying to cut the wire off, they tend to bend the wire and break it off rather than making a clean cut, and that can oftentimes damage the branch, which, I mean, if you've just spent, you know, a couple months waiting for the wire to take effect, you know, you're not going to be really happy about that when you got to cut the wire off, and obviously it leaves an indentation there. The next tool that I would say is indispensable is to get yourself any kind of just pair of long handled tweezers. These aren't anything fancy. I just picked these up a little while ago. But it's important to have ones that are long, because a lot of times, you know, you're going to need to get into your pot and take out weeds. You're going to need to go and remove moss away from the base of your trunk. Even just to go in, if you're doing needle plucking on pines or any sort of conifer, these are ideal because you can get in there with a good grip and you can take everything out that you need. And oftentimes, you know, fingers such as mine, which are little chubby fingers, tend to be, you know, not the best tool to do that. So a good pair of tweezers is definitely something to get yourself. Going back to wire, you need wire when you're starting out. Now, I've got two different kinds here. I've got copper wire, which is annealed and heat treated, which means that it's been heated to a point where it's red hot, which softens it. And basically, I'm going to do a different video discussing the benefits of using copper versus aluminum wire. But you have the two types, which is copper wire, and then you have aluminum wire, which is what you're seeing over here. They come in a bunch of different sizes, obviously depending on what kind of use you need. Aluminum wire tends to be more used on deciduous trees or trees in training. And copper wire tends to be used on conifers, as well as on, you know, show trees or finished trees, because typically you're going to be showing them and need the wire to look a little bit better, blend in a bit better with the branch, which unfortunately aluminum wire really doesn't do a very good job of. I will talk more about wire in an upcoming video, but for now, you know, just need to know that you're going to need to get yourself some wire. I would recommend starting off with a couple of different sizes. You know, you're going to need more of the middle ground. I wouldn't recommend anything crazy heavy, and I wouldn't recommend the super light wire in a lot of quantity. Reason being that most of the wiring you're going to be doing is probably between a 2 and 4 millimeter as far as aluminum wire goes. So I would aim for that range, get yourself some of that, and that should be good enough to get yourself started. And the last tool that I would really recommend you get would happen to be a root rake. Reason being that obviously it's not the right time of year right now, of course, but in spring, one of the big projects that you do in bonsai is repotting all of your trees, or repotting the trees that need to be repotted. Again, a root rake is an essential tool when you're doing that, because it helps you clear out all the old soil. And it's really important to get you know, your trees into proper medium, into a proper pot where they can grow freely with a free draining bonsai soil. So a root rake is what you use to get out all the old soil and clear out the tree and order your roots in a radial fashion so that you can start getting your chunk flare that you want, and so you can start building your trees. So there you go, guys. These are some of the tools I recommend, and I'll head back and finish off the video for you. So with that being said, guys, those are the tools that I really believe to be the essentials when you're starting out in bonsai. I really believe that less is more when you're first getting started in this, and I believe that you need to get yourself equipped with the right tools to start with. Don't worry about anything fancy that's going to be, you know, marketed to you or that you think you're going to need right away. You can get that as you go and you get more advanced with your trees, but for just starting off, most of the time you're going to have raw stock to begin with, and you really only need a few basic tools to get you started, like I just outlined in the garage. So with that being said, guys, I really would appreciate your feedback on the video, whether you liked it. If you did, please hit the like button over here. And if you're really interested in seeing more content, you know, about bonsai and about the journey involved in developing trees, hit subscribe here. I promise I'm going to be coming out with a lot of content for you guys, and I really think you're going to like to hear, you know, a young perspective on how to develop bonsai and how I got into the hobby. And I'm happy to help you guys along the way while I'm also learning with you. So if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe, and you know what, guys, I'll see you in the next video.